Welcome to Movies Recaps. Today I am showing you Sweet and Sour, a 2021 comedy romance film. Warning, major spoilers lie ahead. Grab your popcorn and settle in. In the bustling city of Incheon, Jang-hyuk, a man who had once been heavier and who recently secured a permanent job as an engineer, finds himself admitted to the hospital with hepatitis B. Although this illness is transmitted solely through bodily fluids rather than by sharing the same air, his parents visit him only once and do not linger out of fear of catching it. Likewise, his friends refrain from visiting, opting instead to send him texts, and even the other patients in his room try to keep their distance, persistently asking the doctors and nurses to draw the curtain closed around him. Not everything is bleak, however. It is in this hospital that Jang-hyuk meets Da-eun, a kind-hearted nurse who is always gentle with him and even wishes him well by planting a small kiss on his forebag. One evening, Jang-hyuk leaves his room to wander the hospital corridors and finds Da-eun by the stairs, casually smoking a cigarette. He notices that she wears a ring on her finger, but she explains that it is merely her graduation ring. She also remarks that he is fortunate to have a secure, permanent position at work, unlike her situation on a contract where they work her extremely hard with overly long shifts. She confesses that she is always exhausted, which is why she resorts to smoking in order to stay awake. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by the stern head nurse, who comments disapprovingly on the smoking. Consequently, Da-eun pretends the cigarette is Jang-hyuk's and admonishes him before quickly running off. The next morning she stops by to thank him for covering for her lie, as otherwise she would have gotten into trouble. Strangely, she begins to pilfer food from his plate, a gesture he finds acceptable even though she becomes visibly alarmed when she realizes what she is doing. Da-eun apologizes as she leaves but not without warning the other patients to refrain from mistreating her. Later that evening they share a drink by the vending machine, and when Da-eun visits his bedside to check on him, she is so fatigued that she dozes off briefly next to him. Her weariness worsens when she gives up coffee and smoking, even scolding Jang-hyuk when she finds him with a cigarette, going as far as stomping on the pack. Seeing how stressed she is, Jang-hyuk begins to help her have a better time during her hospital shifts. He leaves supportive messages on his phone screen, surreptitiously takes his roommate's expensive food to share with her, saves a spot on his bed for her to nap, and even wakes her up before she might be caught sleeping. At times, he feigns illness so she can push him out for some fresh air in a wheelchair, and they swap places later on. In return, Da-eun shows her sweetness by adorning his bandages with stickers, though one afternoon when he casually remarks that there's no freaking way he has a girlfriend, she storms off, declaring that she dislikes it when men talk that way. Additionally, she is determined to keep their growing friendship hidden from her co-workers, so whenever Jang-hyuk tries to speak to her while she is with the other nurses or doctors, she deliberately ignores him. A few days later, the doctors announce that Jang-hyuk is finally healthy enough to be discharged, and he becomes sad at the thought of not seeing Da-eun again. On the eve of his departure, he stealthily takes some flowers that were sent to a deceased patient and waits for Da-eun to deliver them, but it is the head nurse who performs his evening checkup instead. On his final day at the hospital, he longs to bid her farewell but cannot find her, and he even ignores his parents when they come to collect him. Later, when he dines out with his friends, they suggest that the nurse might have been nothing more than a hallucination, yet Da-eun refuses to give up. He returns to the hospital, and when she is nowhere to be found, he attempts to retrieve her phone number from her file, managing only to memorize half of it before getting caught. At home, he dials various phone numbers beginning with the digits he remembers, receiving many wrong responses until he finally reaches the correct combination, and Da-eun answers his call. She explains that she had taken a few days off because she wasn't feeling well, which is why he did not see her at the hospital. Reassured that she had not been ignoring him, Jang-hyuk confesses his affection, and Da-eun responds by inviting him over to her apartment. Driving his father's car, Jang-hyuk promptly arrives at her place and they share a very awkward conversation before Da-eun suggests he stay the night as she feels lonely. They end up sleeping in a cuddle, and the following morning she wakes to find that Jang-hyuk has changed a light bulb and prepared breakfast. Such kindness moves her to tears, and she thanks him with a quick peck on the lips, stopping him from deepening the kiss when he tries, as she explains it is not appropriate. From that point on, they begin spending time together regularly. He brings food to the hospital so that she can have a snack, picks her up after her shifts in his father's car and grows jealous of the other men she interacts with, even takes out the trash at her apartment, and simply offers his company whenever she feels stressed. One day at lunch he notices that she is missing her ring, but she merely says that she lost it. He also tells her that once he has his own place she should quit her stressful job, but she responds only with a warm hug. A few days later, someone known to Da-eun gifts her a vacation package to Jeju, and she invites Jang-hyuk to accompany her, an offer he readily accepts. When they go shopping for matching shirts, They find the sizes too small for Jang-hyuk, which makes him envious of couples who can wear them. They also stop by a macaron stand where the clerk gives Da-eun a discount for being irregular, although Jang-hyuk refrains from eating any because he is now self-conscious about his weight. The day of the vacation finally arrives, and Da-eun awaits him at the airport entrance. Jang-hyuk halts the taxi just in time and dashes toward her as she waves. Da-eun surprises him with a pair of sneakers that match hers, though she denies they are meant to replace the matching shirts. Jang-hyuk dons the sneakers and vows to use them to lose weight for her, then jogs a little to prove his commitment. Suddenly the scene cuts to Jang-hyuk running in a park, now appearing lean and healthy. Returning to Da-eun's apartment where they now reside together, he prepares breakfast for both of them before leaving for work, even remembering to take out the trash on his way out. At the office, he is informed that he is being assigned to a large corporation on a temporary contract, with the possibility of being hired permanently if he performs well. This represents an incredible opportunity for him, yet the company is located in Seoul, which is not exactly near Incheon. He shares this news with Da-eun over lunch, but they cannot finish discussing it as the other nurses arrive, and she does not want to be seen with him, particularly since the nurses note that he looks familiar. A few days later, Jang-hyuk goes to pick up Da-eun at work, feeling jealous of one of her co-workers. He shows her the new car he has bought and promises to commute between Seoul and Incheon daily so that their lives need not change drastically. He also gives her a new ring to replace the lost graduation ring. On his first morning commute, Jang-hyuk chuckles at the other men caught in traffic, thinking they are foolish for not having woken up as early as he did. When he arrives at the office and is introduced to his bosses, he discovers that he is not the only new temporary worker on the team. There is also Bo-young, an extremely competitive woman who does not appear to like him much. At lunchtime, the permanent team does not invite them to join, leaving Jang-hyuk to dine with Bo-young. Once he gets home, he begins venting to Da-eun about Bo-young, and she advises him to try harder to impress his co-workers. The next day, Jang-hyuk brings coffee for everyone, but under the pretext of assisting him, Bo-young distributes the cups among the co-workers and fails to acknowledge his contribution. She also accuses him of working on the wrong assignment, a claim that is untrue, and when he switches to another part of the project he is scolded. Later that evening he once again complains about her to Da-eun, preventing her from sharing details about her own day and burdening her with all the planning for their upcoming trip to Jeju. When the time comes to present their project to their bosses, Bo-young takes credit for the idea, but Jang-hyuk seizes the opportunity to point out a design flaw that could cause the bridge to collapse. From then on, he teases her about the extra work required to fix the error, delighting in the way she becomes frazzled under pressure while he is able to leave early. Exhausted, Jang-hyuk barely manages to greet Da-eun when he returns to their apartment after such a long trip before falling asleep. The next morning he misses seeing her as she leaves before him, and later over the phone they agree that commuting is both stressful and complicated. Consequently, if he finishes work late, Jang-hyuk decides to stay at the apartment he rents in Seoul, commuting back only on weekends. Over time, Bo-young becomes increasingly overwhelmed. She remains in the office overnight, frequently falls asleep during working hours, overeats and unable to wash, ends up with clothes stained and hair with crumbs, and even emits an unpleasant odor. When Jang-hyuk advises her to cut down on eating at work, Bo-young finally breaks down in tears, explaining that she eats to stay awake so she can finish the work that he had ruined for her. Feeling pity for her, Jang-hyuk resolves to spend the night helping her complete the project, oblivious to Da-eun's text messages asking if he is still coming over the next day. The following day they present the finished project to their bosses, who congratulate them on its success and advise the permanent team to take a lesson from it. After work, they head to a restaurant to celebrate, where Jang-hyuk abstains from drinking due to his liver condition. After assuring Da-eun that he will go home once the company dinner is over, he keeps an eye on Bo-young, who becomes increasingly intoxicated. By the time he finally makes it home, it is extremely late, and Da-eun is nowhere to be seen. She was summoned by the hospital to cover another nurse's shift and will be working through the night. Da-eun later apologizes for not seeing him and, before ending the call, asks him to change a light bulb. However, Jang-hyuk falls asleep and leaves for work the following day without making the change. At the office, their boss congratulates both him and Bo-young for their teamwork and assigns them a new project to tackle together, a prospect that does not bother them since they are now getting along fairly well. Jang-hyuk begins staying late, working extra hours with Bo-young and gradually building a connection with her, though he also starts canceling plans with Da-eun, leading to increasingly infrequent meetings, sometimes nearly never. This situation frustrates Da-eun, who has something very important to tell him in person and has been postponing it for some time. When the second project is successfully completed, Jang-hyuk and Bo-young decide to go out for dinner to celebrate. Da-eun, who had been waiting for him as promised, calls to ask where he is, and Jang-hyuk lies, claiming he must work late once again. This time, however, he does indulge in drinking. One evening, as Bo-young attempts to flirt with him, it finally becomes too much for Jang-hyuk, prompting him to return home immediately. Upon entering the apartment, he finds several trash bags lining the hallway, and Da-eun asks him to take them out and also to change the light bulb. This request sparks an argument about how both are too exhausted and that the other should contribute more. Da-eun believes that Jang-hyuk only comes home to rest, while Jang-hyuk accuses Da-eun of being self-centered. Suddenly, Da-eun reveals the crucial news she had been postponing: she has not had her period. Seizing the moment, Jang-hyuk uses the excuse of taking out the trash to step outside while he panics at the thought of impending fatherhood. The next day, his mind is too preoccupied for clear thought, and after Da-eun calls to inform him that the doctor confirmed she is 4 weeks pregnant, he becomes so upset that he ends up yelling at Bo-young unintentionally, though he eventually apologizes. He skips their next presentation and decides to take a day off to accompany Da-eun to the OB/GYN, where she behaves awkwardly while filing paperwork that lists the baby's guardian. Then she asks him to wait outside, insisting that she can handle it alone because she is a nurse. When she finishes, he embraces her tightly, but when they return home to cuddle, he is bombarded with calls and texts from work. He ignores them, wanting to stay with her, but Da-eun, tired of the incessant phone noise, tells him to leave. At least this time, Jang-hyuk remembers to send her a text while he is away, and when his work hours finally end, he does not linger with Bo-young but leaves on time to be with Da-eun. Jang-hyuk now begins commuting between Incheon and Seoul daily, a routine that quickly wears him down. He is so exhausted that he goes to bed early, spends minimal time with Da-eun, and even falls asleep at the office. He gradually becomes like the kind of man he once mocked, the one who gets ready in his car, and starts arriving late at work when he oversleeps, drawing a scolding. One evening, Bo-young points out that their new project is suffering because he leaves early, and convinces him to stay overnight, which leads Jang-hyuk to return home less and less often. When he finally goes out with Da-eun on a weekend, he spends the entire walk complaining about his fatigue, insisting he wants to go home and urging Da-eun to shop faster, not even allowing her to linger at the macaron stand she had been eager to try. As they head back to the car, he tells her to order online since it is quicker, and Da-eun begins to cry, explaining that she had come to the market to spend quality time with him rather than because she actually needed to shop. His tone makes it sound as if spending time with her is a burden, while she, also tired from work, still makes the effort. Jang-hyuk apologizes and accidentally refers to her as Bo-young before driving away, oblivious to his mistake. Hurt, Da-eun asks him to pull over, but he misinterprets her request, thinking she wants him to enter a fast food drive-thru. They end up arguing in front of the cashier. Da-eun accuses him of infidelity and Jang-hyuk, feeling offended, admits that he has been visiting her simply because he felt sorry for her. Da-eun then confesses that she has terminated the pregnancy, and Jang-hyuk remarks that both his indifference about the baby and their current predicament are their shared faults. They drive off without picking up any food, and after dropping Da-eun at her residence, Jang-hyuk returns to Seoul to begin living in the apartment he rents there. The following day, the ring he had bought for Da-eun arrives in the mail, and he chooses to hide it in his pencil holder. One evening, unable to contain his emotions any longer, he kisses Bo-young, marking the beginning of a relationship with her. They continue to work together and also spend leisure time as a couple, yet Jang-hyuk finds himself distracted every time he sees a nurse's uniform on the street or in a shop. One afternoon, he is astonished to receive a message from the travel company confirming his tickets to Jeju. He sends a text to Da-eun informing her that she may use the tickets and take whomever she wishes, and he cannot help noticing that her profile picture still reads, "Da-eun loves Jang-hyuk." He finds it impossible to stop thinking about her after receiving confirmation that the tickets have been reserved, leaving him very distracted at work. During the final meeting of the year, the permanent team receives all the credit for their accomplishments, while neither Jang-hyuk nor Bo-young secures a future position. Afterwards, they attend the company party, where Jang-hyuk contemplates returning to his old job in Incheon, and Bo-young mentions plans to study abroad. Now that he is losing Bo-young as well, Jang-hyuk reflects on Da-eun, and when he checks her social media profile, he sees that she is leaving to spend Christmas in Jeju. Determined to seize a chance if she still intends to follow through with the planned trip, Jang-hyuk retrieves the ring from his office and takes a cab to the airport, where he stops the taxi just in time as Da-eun waves at him, reminiscent of the beginning of their story. However, as he steps out of the car, he collides with another man, the heavier version of Jang-hyuk who had hepatitis B and is now testing the sneakers. It turns out that skinny Jang-hyuk and heavy Jang-hyuk are not the same person. Da-eun had met skinny Jang-hyuk nearly 2 years prior to encountering the other, bonding with him when he was admitted to her hospital with a broken leg. They began dating. Da-eun even decorated his leg cast with stickers, purchased for him matching sneakers and spent Christmas together in Jeju. Skinny Jang-hyuk even moved into her apartment. However, when he started distancing himself from her, she found solace in the kindness of heavy Jang-hyuk, especially since later he would do things that skinny Jang-hyuk refused to do, such as changing the light bulb. Her pregnancy was the reason why she was so tired and often napped beside him, the reason she quit coffee and smoking, and the reason she would take food from heavy Jang-hyuk's plate. The nights she spent at the hospital while skinny Jang-hyuk was absent were spent with heavy Jang-hyuk, and it was his name that she wrote down as the baby's guardian. After she broke up with skinny Jang-hyuk, she deliberately removed her ring, and later told heavy Jang-hyuk that she had lost it. When skinny Jang-hyuk offered her the tickets, she used that opportunity to invite heavy Jang-hyuk to join her instead. Back in the present, Da-eun checks on heavy Jang-hyuk and helps him to stand. She does notice skinny Jang-hyuk but completely ignores him, walking into the airport to leave with her friend without a word. Enraged, skinny Jang-hyuk hurls insults at her and kicks a trash can before returning to the company party, only to discover that Bo-young has won a Jeju vacation for two. Overwhelmed by the irony of the situation, skinny Jang-hyuk decides that all this chaos is the fault of his old boss for sending him there, then takes out the ring and proposes to Bo-young as he declares his love. Bo-young turns him down, stating she is not ready, and skinny Jang-hyuk spends the remainder of the night drinking. Before signing off, it is worth noting that every twist in this film reflects human emotion and the unpredictable nature of relationships. The story leaves viewers both thoughtful and entertained. There you have it. What did you think of that ending? Quite surprising, don't you agree? Please like, subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time for more entertaining recaps.